welcome to Hooked on Gingerbread. Today we're going to be doing a lot of different things. But the most important thing is that we're going to be putting on the 5th floor. The last floor of building 1. I am excited. So before we can do that though, we have to paint the back side to make it look like there's shades in the window, just like here. And we also have to put in window panes. Now after that, we're going to put in the roof, which has a lot of detail to it. It's a flat roof, yes, but there's a lot of molding and cornice work that goes with that, so we're going to show you that, as well as I'm going to show you how I created this mold here, and I'm going to start cleaning up the corners of the building. So there's just a whole lot to do. I think I can do it. Very ambitious, but we can do it. So let's get started. Time to put on the molding. Got a little air bubble there, which really bothers me a lot, but once I put on the window panes, it's not going to show as much. And this is on the side, so first thing I need to do is to put down tilos, where I'm going to put down my little line. I don't know what else you'd call it. And I'm using this extruder tip here. It doesn't have a name. It's got the 4 holes in it. So call it the 4-hole extruder. So I'm extruding these. Make sure you're going up and down with it. You don't want to lay it on the ground. And then pull out one at a time. Whoop, got those two stuck together. That's why you don't want to lay it down. Let's see if I can get it out. Okay. I'm doing an outline of the mold that I had inserted into the window socket thingy. I don't know why this is like this, but who am I to ask? It was the artist's impression of the building on the puzzle. So this is the way it is on the puzzle. So this is the way I put it. This isn't very pretty at all. Let's see here. And cut this off first. Get these little puppies out of the way. I'm going to need this for the other windows, so I'm going to try to keep them nice. Okay, so boop. Now I want to make sure that it's actually hugging the outline. And I've got a squeegee. I'm going to squeegee this off, the excess. Once I have this the way I want it, I'm going to demold. Is that a word? Demold my ginger clay. Come on, don't give me grief. This batch gave me grief. It has been giving me grief because it's got a lot of water in it. And dang it, come on. Well, let's see if I can salvage this puppy. Now, let me tell you, when I put ginger clay, when I mold ginger clay like this, I usually put it in the oven at 175 for about an hour or two. But these little puppies the ginger clay has too much moisture in it. And so when I put it in the oven, and it makes it porous, and it makes it not usable. I have been letting them sit out and dry themselves instead of putting them in the oven. Problem with that is because it's still very wet, and I did add extra ginger crumbs or ginger flour to it, didn't work. It's better than it was, believe me, it was worse. But because it's still kind of too damp, it sticks to my mold, and I have difficulties unmolding it or demolding it or whatever. But it's still, what I'm doing is trying to make the creases go back to the way they were. Okay, well, I think that will do it. If I don't like it, I can rip it off and, well, what the hell, I can do it again. Now I need to change out my extruder tip to this one, which is not the largest dash that I have, but it's the second largest. This comes standard. Remember, anything that I show you with a yellow tip instead of a silver tip is bought extra. It's in a separate, you have to buy that separate from the extruder. But anything that I show you with a silver tip, that is actually comes with the extruder. So, and that is standardized. Believe me, I have bought many extruders and they all come with the same tips. All right, so I have this extruded. What I'm doing is I'm propping this up because this piece here isn't thick enough. I need to give it an extra boost. That's why I'm extruding this extra here. And I just put it along the edge like so. I think it goes all the way. I don't know where it goes to. I think it goes to like here. Just I'd rather cut off not enough than too much. So, okay, let's see how this goes. It looks like it's going to work. Another thing is you can see it bends really easily. That's not really great. It's not the best. I do like to have them sit out overnight so I can move them around a lot better. But I wanted to show you the worst case scenario. See, this has been sitting out. I can move it around. It doesn't bend. But this guy bends. So you have to really be careful when you're putting it on. You barely touch it. And then I put it over the arch. Now, when I do that, I want to take a look at, because it's still soft, I want to take a look at all these little divots that I've made with my fingers. Darn it. And make sure it's the way I want it. So now that I have that, I'm going to cut off the excess. I cut my dental molding to fit. Now, if you remember, I created this mold, the mold for this in one of my, I think it was like the second video or the third video. All right, so now we're going to let this dry. And once this dries, then I'm going to fill in the cracks here with ginger clay, and the top crack here with ginger clay. Now we need to put on the bottom. For the bottoms, I use the square extruder right here. You probably can't see it because it's got all this junk on it. The square extruder, the big square. The square extruder tip, I should say. And then I'm just putting this on. Just needs to go in between these two little guys right here. And cutting it. This is pretty well freshly extruded. I don't let it sit out too long. So it's a little squishy on the end. if that's the case, just pinch it with your fingers and pucker it and bring it right back up. You don't want squishy ends. Got to make sure when it's fresh like this that you don't touch it. You don't pinch it. So there you have it. Okay, so now I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll put in the window panes. They're right here. Now, once I put this up, then I will put more dental molding across here, but I have to have all the corners correct on the building before I can put up the dental moldings on this side. I'm going to show you how I put on the window panes. It's pretty simple, really. I'm using a square extruder tip to make the panes. And then I'm cutting them out into little pieces, and I'm just fitting them on there. Now you can wait till they get hard. You can extrude them out and leave them out overnight, and they will be harder. These are quite soft, but I'm so used to this now. It's crazy. So I'm going to put a little bit of Tylose glue on here. Now remember, the isomold is sealed on here, so the liquid can't get onto the isomold itself. It's got a glaze on top. Remember that. You don't want to put a liquid on top of isomold now without it being protected. Now I'm just sort of putting this in order. I want to make sure that it's centered. And I want to kind of squeegee off. That's why I use a rubber one. And kind of squeegee off the glue, if there is any. There's not that much. Then I'm going for the top piece first, and it's a little long. That's why I kind of like it wet, because not wet, but not hard, because I can cut it easily. But it does bend, and sometimes it really isn't helpful. There's pros and cons to using it soft like this. Okay, so that'll work. And take that off. And if you do use it soft, you have to be really careful about how you touch it. I barely pick it up, and it's still making little dents in it. So and then I just put it on like that. See, it just has a little wave in it, and I don't like that at all. But the reason I'm using the soft one is because I don't have any dried ones left. So here we go. Now you want to make sure that these both match. They're about at the same height. Now what I'm going to do is cut this in half again, right here, and right here. And it's too low. Shoot. I'm going to have to squeegee that off. And then about right here. And let's see, right there. Oops. Right there. Ugh. Dang it. Now some of these I'm having difficulty with because this piece right here is in the isomalt doesn't come all the way to the top of this. That's why I'm having some issues with them. But I can't re-pour the isomalt, so it is what it is. I have to work with what I have. Alright, so this is centered. Once I have this where I want it, I squeegee out the glue again. Then once I have it on, I'm on to the next one. Okay, so we're ready to put up a wall. That is exactly what you want to see. It's level. And it's level this way as well. So now we are ready to put up our wall. This is harder for me because I'm only 5'6", and so this comes right up to my neck. But we're going to see how this goes. You want to put a good amount of royal icing across the front and to the side. I always do 2 walls at a time when I'm first starting out because one wall supports the other wall. This seems a little thin, and I'm wondering if I left it out too long. What the first wall you want to put in place, you want the gingerbread portion, not the brick portion, to be equal to the floor here. Whoa. Hold on a minute. Hopefully this does not fall on me. I'm smoothing out the back a little bit. The side wall bumps up against the back of the front wall, so you've got to put icing up the side of the front wall. This is really hard to do. Sometimes I just want to put the gingerbread on the floor. When it's this tall, I want to put the gingerbread on the floor and work on it. But unfortunately, I've got dogs, and so that gingerbread would not be around too long. Okay, hold on a minute. Now again, I want my gingerbread, not the bricks, to meet up with the gingerbread wall here. A little quiet because I'm a lot nervous. This falls, there's no recovering it. Okay. Right? Is it straight up and down?
No, you need to come toward the living room. There you go.
Okay, what about this one? Is it straight up and down?
I don't know, you have to look at it.
Oh.
Well, now that one's not.
Well, that's okay. Okay, get that one again.
Toward the living room. Living room, there you go.
Okay, and could you do the square up top? Square. Can you go like whoop up the side with the icing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like in the corner, and then take your finger and go up. See, this is what husbands are for. Oh, I'm videotaping, by the way. Okay, and then just take your finger, and flatten it. And just go, and then that along the edges too. I'll just stand here for a bit. It's not. Don't you dare. Hey, turd. Okay. So I got a face full of icing here, and I can't get it off because my fingers. All right, so I'm gonna just out of just out of caution, I'm gonna stand here for about 5 minutes and just hold it and make sure that it's all good. I don't like how this sticks out here, but that may just be an issue with the gingerbread itself, not the wall. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do the back. I am constantly, again, watching to see if the front and the side move at all. Okay, so the back is coming along. It doesn't have a huge fall like the front will. Okay, while I'm waiting for all this to set up. I'm really nervous. I am going to, I'm just putting royal icing in the cavity here. The reason I'm doing that instead of bricking it like I did the others is because there's going to be like this molding that goes across here, so it doesn't matter. And I would feel a whole lot better if I had some more support. Just saying. So, gonna make this pretty neat. What I do also is I go through here with sandpaper once it's all dry, and I clean it up. So, it's not a crazy big deal, but I do not like to spend all of my time sanding. So, the cleaner I can get this, the better. Okay, I'm making the molding between the two square windows in building 1. So what I did was I created this mold. I made this out of clay first, and then molded it. I got the little flowers and all that stuff off of different molds that I already have. The problem I have, though, the mistake I made was, I didn't give any, first of all, this isn't that square, which bothers me a lot. I don't think I was really thinking when I made this mold. What I should have done was put more clay on the edges here so I could actually do something with it. But I didn't want to remake it because it was kind of a bummer to make, actually. It took a lot of time. So I'm just working with what I have. So there you go. That's the clay piece. Then I molded it. And this is what I get. This is a little wet, so I'm going to leave it alone. It's still, it's still really flexible. So what I did was, what I'm doing is these two pieces represent the space in between the two windows. So that goes here. Now I've noticed that the top ones are like half of this, and I don't have an extruder that is that size. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of just sort of putting this in the center, these two in the center, and then I'm just going to cut this off later, when I put it up. So there's the plan. First, what I'm going to do is, and these are semi-hard. I mean, I still can cut them with my finger if I wanted to. But I'm not going to. I piped these, I extruded these, and I extruded these last night, I think. So it's firm, but it's not like incredibly hard. And like I said, I should have done this when I made the clay, but I didn't, so yeah. There you go. And I could just keep on adding to the clay thing, but I've already done the mold, and it seems to work, so there you have it. Alright, so these two have to be even. That's the only thing that matters. They look pretty even to me. I extruded this like a few days ago, so it's really, really quite stiff. I would not extrude this thin of ginger clay and expect it to go on straight. You need to extrude it like the night before or 2 nights before. Let it sit there, and it needs to be absolutely straight, and you leave it alone, and then it'll dry straight, and so you'll get a nice clean line. You'll notice there's some places where I'm in a hurry and my lines aren't as straight, and that's because I used ginger clay that was soft, and I'm ashamed to say it. There's a lot of shame going on today as well. This is extruded. I think it's the one with the 4 little circles. It's a regular extruder disc, and it's the one with it's the size with the 4 holes in it, round holes. Okay. And then I'm just making like a little frame. I'm going around the entire piece with this. And make sure these stay together. I did also make the mistake of I have to cut these flowers down because my little lines won't be straight if I don't. Darn it. I really didn't think when I made this mold, but I really, really don't want to do it again. So there you go. There you have it in a nutshell. The moral of the story is do it right the first time. We've got like a little, got the molding all the way around the molding. Molding around the molding. Before I let this dry completely, I'm going to cut this piece off here. Oops, it's harder than I thought. Well, at least I made a mark so I can cut it with my other knife. Now that I have these big ends cut off, I'm going to go ahead and put on the ribbon trim. I'm going to start with the sides first. That's how I did the others. It's going to go from top to bottom. Now that I have it together, I'm going to put it up to make sure that it looks square on the building, because I could have this crooked. I'm flying by the seat of my pants today. I'm going to dab some Tylose glue on. The reason why I'm not using royal icing is because Tylose glue gives me a little time to, if I don't like something, I can fix it. I want this to go parallel up and down. Okay, I've been working on the roof separately. I didn't add it to the top because I'm only 5'6" and it's getting quite high. So I didn't show you the beginnings of this because I didn't know what I was doing, and I kind of still don't because I had to rip off this piece here. But so far, this is what I have. When I put it up, I'm going to put trim here and build it down to the building. I don't know if that's the correct term, but I'm building it into the building once I put it up. This is what I'm going for right now. I made these little boogers with, I did a mold of this. I actually sculpted this out of clay, and then I made a mold and put these on. I'm going to probably put bottoms on these because they look weird. I might even put like a little round top on these. I'm kind of going with the flow. I don't really have a pattern. That's a little not straight. So what I did was, this is a strip right here of gingerbread, right? It's about, I want to say an inch. Maybe it's an inch and a half. No, an inch and a quarter. And I rolled out a thin piece of ginger clay that's purple. I put it on there with royal icing. I don't really like to attach ginger clay to gingerbread with Tylose if I can help it, because that the ginger clay is wet, the Tylose is wet, and therefore you're adding too much moisture to your gingerbread and it's a nightmare. Now when I've had to do it, I'll put it in the oven at 170 for like 2 hours or 3 hours. Just dry it out, and it still may not be dried out. You'll still get some curl, and so you may have to go back and do it again and again and again. And that's no exaggeration. With the royal icing, it can curl still, so you have to keep that in mind. But with that said, I rolled out a thin piece of purple, and I put that on with royal icing. I baked it at 170 for about 3 or 4 hours. I just went on to do other things, and then when I was done with I took those out, let them cool overnight. It's really kind of smart too, if you're letting them cool overnight, put something flat. I put like a really flat cookie sheet with a heavy charcuterie board on top of it. My husband hates it when I do it, but I do it anyway. And it's because it fits perfectly with the cookie sheet. When I lay them flat, I put that on top. It doesn't make any indentations into the gingerbread, just in case it's not completely solid. I do that overnight so it doesn't curl. So you don't want your gingerbread to curl, and it will if there's moisture, right? I rolled out another piece of beige. You want to call it cream color, and I did the same process again. Once this side was done, I extruded the biggest rectangle I have, straightened them out, put them on the cookie sheet, and put them in the oven at 170 for hours on end. You can all do it all at once as well. I think I did, actually. But anyway, once this is kind of hard, it's still wobbly, it's okay. You just don't want it like limp, because if it's limp, you can't get a really good straight line out of it. I put the square piece right here, so that lent to having something to bump my little corbels up against. Actually, this is probably better to show you. This one's not done yet. So I put the square piece right here, the big square piece. The little square piece is right on top of it. Then I extruded this guy here with this tip, this disc. I don't know what you call them. This one's kind of dirty. It's a dirty disc, whatever it is. And then I also extruded this from the same disc. What I did with those was I put this right on the edge of the rectangle, and right in here, and I put the white piece right in between the two, the rectangle and the little in this guy. So that's what I have so far. I sculpted these little buggers in clay first, made a mold. I made about 6 molds, because when you're doing this many, you don't want to just do one mold, because you're waiting a while. I actually put it in the oven at 170 for, I would say, an hour each, and then even then they were really soft to pull out, but I had to get it done. So it just depends, but you don't want to get them too hard, because then they could shrivel. You just kind of have to play with it. It depends on the consistency of your clay, how it's going to turn out in the oven. Sometimes the oven just ruins it. It'll get like these little holes. So if you have that problem, you can put it in a dehydrator. The most my dehydrator goes up is to 160 degrees. I try it at 160. If it doesn't work, I move it down. But you do definitely want to put some air on it, not unless you want to do 6 a night, I guess, but I don't have that kind of time. So if you only have one mold, you're going to be waiting a whole month before you can actually put one of these together. Let's get started with this guy. When I do this, I put a ruler down. For the rest of them, I just line them up, kind of. All right, so these are my molds. They're, like I said, oh yeah, there are 6 of them. So I baked these yesterday at 170, but I let them sit overnight, so they're quite hard. They're not. There's no softness to it. I'm still kind of careful with them because if I'm not, uh, they're so deep that the end piece can still be wet and I not know it until I've pulled it out. And this is kind of, and nope, it's hard all the way through. I don't like it when it's hard all the way through because I do think that it takes away from the smoothness of, dang it, these are awful. I think these were, dang it, I think these were in too long yesterday. So you're going to get, if they're in too long, you're going to, I don't know if you can see that, you're going to get this rough look to them. And sometimes they can be sanded out, sometimes they can't. And I don't really want to sand them if I don't have to. I'll just make more. You can't see it, but it's like, it kind of reminds me of a lava rock. So I definitely had these in too long. So, the first thing I do is I line them up. Let's see, find another good one. I always spread them out first. I don't just glue them down. Let me get this thing fixed here. Because these are so rough. I'm actually getting some water and I'm smoothing them out with water. Ginger clay you don't want a lot of water, but some. What I'm doing is just wiping down the surface of the ginger clay, and it is filling it fills in the pores. It kind of it becomes soft on the surface, and it fills in those pores, so it doesn't look as harsh. Because I really don't like these spots, and so it's much better than it was. And you'll see the color change a little bit with it, and I believe once it's dry, it'll go back to its rightful color, its right color. You want to be careful not to do the back because it may hurt your ginger clay underneath here. You don't want that getting wet. I think this is fine. Okay, so once I get them all on here, I try to space them out as much as, as evenly as possible. It's really important. And then I put them on with Tylose glue and let them sit. I never start at the end. I do the in-betweens because I don't want to lose my spot. You can do whatever you want. Your roof does not have to look like mine at all. I totally made this up. I did take a look at the original roof of the apartment building and saw that they had a lot more corbels in it than the puzzle did, so I went with this. So I did have that will help, but oops, upside down. Not smart, Susan. I'm going to let this dry. In the meantime, I'm going to find something I can extrude for the tops of these as well as the bottom. Because there needs to be something here. I don't know what yet, but there needs to be something. Okay, after experimenting a bit, I found the tops I want. These little buggers right here. And what they are is, this is a tip that I bought online. They're half circles. So what I'm doing is I'm just, I'm just extruding them out and then cutting them into pieces that will fit in that area. Then I put it on with Tylose glue, and then I kind of just molded onto the piece, the corbel, and so yeah, this is not doing so well. I soften the edges, and I have it conform to the top of the corbel, and that's all there is to it. I'm using a clay tool that it's kind of thick. It's sturdy, but it's got an edge to it, so it makes it easier to flatten the edges. Okay. Once I get all the tops on, I'm going to let them dry for at least a few hours, and then I'm going to put the roof together. See how it fits on top of my building, and hopefully go from there and work on. Then we'll just start working on the bottom piece that needs to be put on.